morning, everyone. Hello, Eva. Hello, Sam. Hello, Anthony and Anna and Chad and Huxel and Camilo. It's so good to see you folks this morning. My name is Voodoo Val for all of you newcomers, and I am going to be your host this morning for the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge, number 7, I believe. I'm very excited about today. Hello, Noor. Hello, Steve. Missed the beginning working on your companion challenge where we've just started, so you definitely haven't missed anything yet this morning. Hello, Carlos. Yes, aloha and good morning, and other time-appropriate salutations. I know a lot of you folks are international overseas from me. I'm streaming to you folks this morning from a very sunny morning here in Sacramento, California, the capital city. Hello, Jacqueline. Good to see you. Hello, Asha. Hello. Hello, Kobe. Kobe Bryant is in the chat. Wow. I feel honored. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to kind of jump into a lot of our housekeeping points for the morning as usual. For those of you who are maybe new to Adobe Live and Behance streaming this morning, please keep in mind that after I do my stream today, we are actually going to have like a full day of design. So I'm going to do the challenge here for about 30 minutes, and then we're going to have an hour and a half to 2 hours of Photoshop design right after me, followed by Peter Del Tondo, who is doing the XD Daily Creative Challenge, for those of you who want to jump into some UI UX design. And then another 2-hour-long UI UX design segment after that, which is going to be super, super fun. Hello, Ken. Got to work from home today? Yes, I've actually been doing all of these streams from my own home studio for this round of challenges. I am not, sadly, in San Francisco with the rest of the team. I miss you folks, but it is pretty nifty to get to do this all on my own. It's pretty fun. I'm going to pull up the Daily Creative Challenge page real quick to show you guys how you can get involved with the challenge and design along with me this morning. So let me pull this up. If you folks go to behance.net/challenge/Photoshop, it will bring you here where you can chat with the community, get a little spiel on how everything works here. Each day you receive a challenge, as it says for number 1 there. You can join the community chat in Discord and talk with us and share your design entries and things. You can watch our daily live show. In fact, when we scroll down here, you can see all of our challenges are sort of revealed to you every morning, and you can click watch video if you are watching these out of order. Maybe I'm saying hello to some folks from the future right now who are watching this weeks or days or months forward. You will always be able to return back to the challenges on stream where I do a little demonstration for you to get you going. And then you can also see number 4 here says, finally share your work, get feedback from other mentors and participants. So that basically means like sharing in Discord, but it also means posting on Behance. We have a keyword PS Daily Challenge that you can add to your Behance projects if you are posting your entries on Behance, so that other people who are doing the daily challenge or other people who are just interested in seeing what we're doing can find you on Behance and check out your work. So I'm going to jump into the Discord real quick. Like I said, if you click community chat here, it will pull up the PS Discord area here where you can launch the Discord app, or it'll prompt a download for Discord if you are unfamiliar with Discord. And that bit link, by the way, if you don't go there to access the Discord, looks a little bit like this. So bit.ly/PS Discord. It's very important to capitalize the P and the S so that you come to the proper page. But you can find that link or find that information there as well if you follow this little URL. Good morning, Mornier. Hello, Emma. It's good to see you guys. But yeah, so if you join the Discord, this is what it will look like. I'm gonna pull up the Discord show here. So you can see everyone's kind of been posting their challenge entries into the Discord as we go along throughout the week here in current challenge. There's also a past challenge section here. Like I said, for those of you who are doing things a little bit out of order, we've got some fantastic entries from all of you guys, looking so good. Our Teddy's crest here with the hot dog on it is fabulous. Eggman with the awesome text here is looking good. You guys are really blowing it out of the water, doing some fantastic designs. And you can see here, we've been doing a lot of sort of adventure fantasy video game themed challenges. We've been creating fantasy maps and things to take us all on a adventure. It looks like Tropical Delirio's got a fantastic Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge entry here. I did say, and I want to reiterate this, if you are doing the challenge with me and fantasy, video game, RPG type stuff is not your thing, you can totally repurpose these challenges basically to do whatever it is that you want to do with the skills. Because at the end of the day, these challenges are for you to scrub up on your Photoshop knowledge and get a little more familiar with some of the basic tools, but you don't have to conform to exactly what I am doing for my challenges and what I'm doing on the stream. You can kind of edit them however you like. And so for challenge 4, we actually did creating fantasy weapons with the use of photo compositing. And it looks like Tropical kind of went their own way here and just created this really awesome fantasy character, which is just so cool. I mean, look at that. That is awesome. So not even a weapon. Still using all the awesome skills that we went over for the challenge and kind of did their own thing, which is super cool. So you can see here we've been creating characters and we've been creating items and avatars and all kinds of super cool things. But today we are going to get into something maybe a little bit similar to what we did our first day, which was creating a fantasy avatar portrait or icon to use on your social media or what have you. But we're going to create an entire character today, and we're going to pose it, and we're going to use the Puppet Warp tool, which is a super cool tool to use in Photoshop. So I'm going to jump into my Photoshop here. Let me page down all of this good stuff. And this is what I have to work with this morning. Now, real quick, I want to give kind of an explanation so that you folks are not lost when you get started here. I've taken my fantasy icon that I made the first day. I made a couple of them, but my favorite was the one where I kind of made myself like a purple elf with long, cool, flowing hair. So I've taken that image, and then I also took an image of a standing woman, and I used the pen tool to trace that shape of her, and then I made a selection from my path, and I paint bucketed in some black just to create a kind of a female silhouette here. And I highly encourage you guys to do that, because to create an entire full body character is pretty, you know, it's not the easiest thing in the world, especially if you folks are not familiar with doing this sort of thing. So just like we did for the Heroic Companion Challenge, if you folks were there for that, I grabbed a picture of a pigeon and I traced the pigeon, so I got everything accurate and looking good. You can take a picture of yourself, perhaps, or you can take a picture of something on the internet, maybe grab a super cool stock photo or an image of a celebrity, perhaps, and you don't even have to use the avatar image of yourself. You can use a photo of yourself or a photo of someone else, maybe photo composite something interesting together, whatever you want. But I'm going to show you guys how to pose this. So, as you can see here in my layers panel, I've got like my background layer, I've got my body, which just looks like this. It's just a neck and arms and legs and a torso. I've also got my avatar image here, and then I even brought in my sword that I made for challenge number 4, because I might add that into what we're doing today. And I'm going to select my body layer, and then I'm going to go over to edit, and I'm going to come down here to Puppet Warp. And as you can see, that adds kind of a cool mesh over the layer that I am currently on, everything within that layer. And if you want to kind of edit things around a little bit before you get started, maybe you're already familiar with the Puppet Warp tool, you can. But for those of you guys who don't really know anything about this tool, I'm going to walk you through some of these selections and settings here. So if you want to expand your selection, perhaps you want to maybe not select things so accurately, or perhaps you turn your Puppet Warp tool on and your selection is not confined to the very borders of what you are trying to warp around, you can come up here to expansion and you can change this pixel limit a little bit. So for instance, if I bump this up, you can see that it expands outward out of the borders of my character. And if I turn it all the way down, you can see it really slims things down. But I really like the standard 2 pixel here, so I'm going to leave it at that because that is good enough for me. You can also change the density of the mesh. So up here in density, there's fewer points, normal, and more points. So if I go to fewer points, you can see that it bumps down that detail in the mesh. And then if I add more points, then it makes it very, very, very detailed for warping those images and those objects and shapes and things that maybe have a little bit more detail than what I'm working with today. I'm going to keep it on normal because that's good enough for my project today, but it might not be good enough for yours. So you guys can noodle around there and figure out what you would like to do. You can also come over here to mode, and you can either do rigid, which is pretty good for our project today. And that just means that you're maybe not working with a super detailed mesh, and you need to move things like arms and legs, and you need to move them very rigidly. You know, you don't really want things to be wiggly and super crazy. You just want to be able to bend things and snap things and all of that. Or you can set it to the distort one, and that will make things a little more noodly, you know. Maybe you're kind of warping something like an octopus or something like hair or something like that. That would be a good setting for that. I'm actually just going to leave this on normal just to kind of show you guys the normal settings. And then I'm going to start placing some pins around where I want to bend my my character here. Is it better to work with an entire body or part by part? I think that it's up to you. Since I'm doing a body pose here, I'm going to work with the whole body at the same time. But if you have multiple things that you want to mess with, you could do, you know, some stuff on the body, and then on the avatar layer, you could do some stuff with your hair, whatever you choose. So I'm going to come here at all of these points, and I'm going to put some points in where the body needs to bend. So at the joints, I'm going to put some at the shoulders, at the hips and all that. And I might add some later at the ankles and wrists if that is what I decide that I want. But for right now, I'm going to leave it like this. You can also click or unclick the show mesh button here, which will hide the mesh but keep your points, which might do wonders for kind of keeping you focused on what exactly you're editing, which is totally cool. I'm going to leave the mesh on just to show how everything bends, but you folks can choose what is right for you and your workflow. Now, I'm going to zoom in here a little bit, and I'm going to hover over my point. You can see my little cursor here changes, and I'm going to select that point, and then I am going to drag it up a little bit. Now, that works, but it doesn't really move the way an arm bends. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold Alt, which will give me this little circle here around my point so that I can rotate it. And if I hold my cursor off to the side and I drag up or down, I can actually rotate everything to make it look a little bit more natural. And then I'm going to hover over, I'm going to bring this in just slightly. I'm going to add a new point at my wrist here. I'm also going to hold Alt, and I'm going to rotate that wrist like so. And then I'm going to grab this again, and I'm going to put it up on my girl's hip here. So it kind of looks more like maybe she is resting her hand on her hip. I'm going to select this one. I'm going to do a little more rotate to kind of bring it in there. And that looks pretty good. You can also hold Alt, and you can see it does change too to the scissors. So if I wanted to, for instance, grab this and remove that point, it would do that, which is super cool if you want to remove a point that you've placed that you don't like very much. So now I've got my girl posed with her hand on her hip, very sassy, very cool. And I am also going to maybe extend my canvas a little bit, and I'm gonna put something in her hand. I want her to have like her sword brandished above her head, very warrior-like. So I'm actually gonna hit my C key, let's hit enter. I hit enter there in order to place all the points and kind of solidify what I have here. And I'm going to zoom out, I'm gonna hit C, and I'm going to drag my canvas up a little bit, and then I'm also gonna drag my canvas out, and I'm gonna hit enter because I do want a little bit more space to do what I'm gonna do here. I'm gonna grab my background layer, I'm gonna say Control T so that I can transform this and re-extend this to the borders of the canvas, and I'm gonna hit enter. Then I'm gonna go back to my body, I'm gonna hit edit, puppet warp again, and we're gonna jump back into this. I'm gonna add a point at the shoulder here, and I am going to hold Alt, and I'm gonna rotate this up if I can. Let's see if it'll let me do this. Not really letting me go about this. Maybe if I, ooh, it was definitely letting me rotate it, but I need to add some more points. So I'm going to add my points here again, how I like it, because I am going to have to move some more things. And I'm also going to bring my, oh, you know what I see the issue is that my mesh is touching in places now, and I don't want it to kind of register this as all one piece. So I'm going to grab some of this here with my lasso tool, and I'm going to go Command Cut, and I'm just going to make it very obvious that this is a separate piece here, so that it's not registering things that way. Then I'm going to do Puppet Warp again. Hopefully that works. Yeah, there we go. So make sure that things are very obviously separated, otherwise you will get these little meshy places here. I'm not going to mess with this part of the arm anymore, so that doesn't matter to me, but it may matter to you. So I'm going to come in here, I'm going to add my points. I am going to, on this one here, I'm going to hover over and click that, and I'm going to rotate. Let's see, I don't want to rotate the entire body, so I'm going to add some more things here. Boom. Let's see if I can do this again. All right. Let's see. There we go. It gets it a little bit. And I'm going to select this one over here, and I'm going to rotate that out like so. Let's kind of work with this a little bit. Might take some noodling around to kind of get the exact thing that I really want. I'm going to grab this, I'm going to bump this up, and then I'm going to rotate that upward. And it does look a little strange as you get going here. Maybe I'll pull this arm out, rotate that down, and maybe I'll have her sword kind of crossing over her body here. However you guys want to do it. It kind of depends on your personal preference. Let's see. I'm going to grab that and move that down. Maybe I'll rotate it once more like so. And pull this down a little bit again. Rotate it. Boom. And I'm going to unhide my sword here, or I'm going to hit enter actually to give it that pose. I'm going to grab my sword. I'm going to rotate this like so, and I'm going to hold shift to really get that aspect ratio. And then maybe I'll do something like this. Maybe I'll put it in the ground here, like it's stuck in the ground. And then maybe I'll puppet warp this again. And I will make it like she's kind of resting her hand on it in the ground there. So let's do puppet warp. Let's add a point here, closer to the wrist there. And then let's rotate that up. Oh, let's actually make sure we're placing a little bit more points so it has some reference and it's not gonna rotate my whole body and do all of that, because that's not what I want. I'm gonna click this here. I'm gonna rotate that up and maybe drag this down and in. It's a little awkward, you know, but we don't have all the time in the world today, so I am just going to do this as well as I can. And I'm going to make sure, I'm going to hit enter and pose. I'm going to put my sword underneath my body so that she's got her hand resting on her sword there. And that's kind of a brief little tutorial on how you can warp a character into a different pose pretty easily. This tool scares me. Oh yes, Heidi, that's what I was meaning when I was saying, hey, I apologize in advance and take full responsibility for all of the shenanigans that will ensue today after I show you folks this tool. I cannot wait to see what you guys make with it. I know that it is super, super fun to noodle around with. I've seen Paul Tranny on streams sometimes making dogs talk and making people walk around and moving things around. It's just it's kind of a blast to use even before you get to your finished product. It's super cool. But that's kind of like a basic rundown on how this all works. If you guys want to take this challenge to the next level, you could do something like after you pose. I highly recommend you do this after you pose your character. You can press P and grab the pen tool, and you can come in here if you want and start adding some clothes. You know, start adding some armor to your character if you want. You can give them some super cool fantasy duds, you know, and make them look like a very, very cool adventurer. Maybe I'll just put, very briefly put like a shirt on this gal here. I'm gonna hold Control and click that and grab Alt and move that point. And yeah, you guys can come in here and dress your girl up, or your gentleman up, whichever. And it can be a pretty fun challenge if you make it that way. I'm gonna add one more point here to get my shoulder going there, and then maybe I'll hit selection, hit OK. I'm gonna grab my lasso tool and right click and select inverse, so I just have that. And then I'll just paint bucket, you know, maybe she's wearing a purple shirt or something like this. Ooh, that's on my sword layer. I'm gonna make a new layer and put this above the body between the avatar, and then, you know, start adding in some clothes like that. So you can do it however you want. I can't wait to see what kind of cool outfits and cool stylish poses you guys create for your characters. You can either have them strike a pose like this, or you can add maybe some action in there. Maybe they're swinging their sword or something, and you can add a bit of motion blur, which you can find up here if you go filter, blur, motion blur. It's going to apply it to the avatar here, but you can add motion blur to things to make it look like maybe your sword is swinging, or whatever you want. And it can get pretty fun. I can easily have nightmares with this tool today. Honestly, man, I anticipate that this is going to be pretty wild in the Discord today. So I'm going to save my image here, and I'm even going to actually crop it down. I thought I was going to use a little bit more space than I did. So I'm going to hit enter here. I'm going to hit Control Shift Save, and I'm going to grab my window up here, and I'm going to say posed for battle. Posed for battle, and I'm going to save this as a JPEG. And then I'm going to hit save, and I'm going to come down here. Let's hit OK. I'm going to come down here to my Discord, and I'm going to hit that little plus button over there in the current challenge area where all of you guys have been posting your awesome entries. And I am going to navigate to my challenge folder, and I'm going to grab my first starting pose and my posed for battle, so you guys can see the before and after. And I'm going to hit upload and put my images in there. So that you guys can see what I did. So cool, Val. Been wanting to play around with these tools. May finally plunge in after a couple of rewatches. Yes, Susanna, do it. I'm so excited. I can't wait to see what you make. And then I'm also going to, real quick, pull up my Behance here. Let me go over here, navigate to my Behance. And I am just going to hover over here and edit my, if it will allow me, edit my PSDCC, and I'm also going to add my challenge entry into its proper thing. So I'm going to say prepare for battle. Boom. Maybe not a capital A. And then under here, I'm going to add a grid. I'm going to upload my files. And then I'm going to post to my Behance. so that everyone can see what I made. So thank you folks for joining me. This has been a spectacular time. I can't wait to see all of the awesome poses you guys do. It's going to be super fun. And please stay tuned for the next awesome Photoshop segment and all of the other UI UX goodness we have planned for the day. And I will see you guys later. Adios, everyone.